this thing on? Hello, hello.
Welcome to Open Pike Night, the Strange New Worlds podcast where your personal logs are the prime directive. You may have noticed that your host tonight is not producer John T. Bolds, but in fact it is me, non-producer Jesse Bailey. But of course, I can't do this on my own. So I did bring one of my co-hosts, the host of Green Shirt, A Newbie's Trek Through TNG, Mr. Cameron Harrison.
I just got done playing the Elder Scrolls Arena for 48 hours straight. I am here ready to talk about it. I've got my hot takes on Argonians and Tamriel, best classes.
I think you may have misunderstood.
What?
That might be the wrong arena, Cameron.
The notes will be fine.
I'm sure
it'll work both ways.
It will probably all translate, especially that Argonian stuff. In case you haven't figured it out, we are here to talk about the original series episode Arena. But, you know, this is supposed to be a three-person show. So producer John can't be here, so we figured, well, who could we get, you know, as like an expert on the Gorn and Arena and the history of Gorn in Star Trek? So we've gone back to the man himself, writer of Terrarium, Mr. Alan B. McElroy. Alan, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much. As you know, I can talk about Arena all day long. I love that episode.
Is it still the background on your computer?
It's one of many, yes.
Okay.
I have at least 3 Gorn within arm's reach, just in case anything goes down tonight. I don't want to be alone. This episode, I think the first time I saw this episode, I hadn't really seen much Star Trek, but I knew about this, right? Like, this transcends Star Trek fandom. Everybody knows what the Gorn is, even if they don't know what the word Gorn means. So I'm very excited to get into this tonight. Alan, do you remember the first time you saw this episode?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I do remember the first time I saw it. God, so long ago. I've seen it so many times that it's actually hard to go back to that. I've probably seen it 100 times, but I'll always remember the 2 things that stood out to me. One was the reaction that Kirk has when they first land, and I love it because the camera angles at this high angle of the landing party, so you don't see what happened, and then it's just like he just, you know, Enterprise red alert, Cestus 3 has been destroyed. It's just the calmness of his voice, and then the pan down to like this destroyed. That always stood out to me. And then the second is the shot when he first, when he first arrives on the asteroid facing the Gorn, and it's a wide shot of the 2 of them. They're both on the edge of frame, facing each other. And that iconic shot has always stayed in my head as like the definition of sort of good versus evil. I mean, it's like the cover of the book, The Stand, has a very similar image on it, but those things are just iconic for me. And I'll always, anytime, I will freeze frame that image every time the episode is on.
Mm-hmm. And it has like, I mean, the whole episode has kind of Western gunslinger vibes to it. And that's absolutely part of it, right? Like, here's your showdown at the OK Corral at high noon on this random asteroid. I do love, though, that Kirk just doesn't provide any other context. Just, yep, it's gone. And then hangs up. Like, he doesn't elaborate. He doesn't, you know, give any extra detail. But that's how cold opens were. I mean, it's very effective as a cold open. I really love that. And the thing I love about that shot in particular is you have like these blast marks all over the ground, right? Mm. And they're kind of at these strange angles. And when they beam in, their shadows cross the other direction across those blast marks. It's like, this is beautiful. And the set on Cestus 3 is really good.
Yes.
Well, that's what I love about it, is because it starts pulling back and you're like, okay, let's get ready for the claustrophobic matte painting screen in the background, you know, something season 1 of The Next Generation would have done immediately. And you're like, oh, no, we're on location somewhere. Yeah. Oh, I'm looking far into the back. I guess it was like a set for an old Alamo movie or TV show or something.
I was going to say, it feels full Alamo. Like,
yes.
It's got the pillars. It's got everything.
And it also starts with this great, I mean, when you come into the title, there's this great music sting that starts it. I can't, you know, I don't want to, you know, repeat it, you know, but it's just great. When you watch it, it just like sets the mood, and then they move out to like, you know, take cover. But it's just everything about this episode. It has great moments.
Well, I want to jump to the other moment you talked about, Alan, or a moment before that moment, because it jumped out to me. It's kind of clunky, the editing, but incredibly effective at the same time when first Kirk just vanishes from the bridge and everyone like takes a beat and then reacts.
Yes.
And it's like such an old school effect, but like it's so jarring. It does work.
Yeah.
Like innately it feels off and you're with the rest of the crew and you're like, wait, what just happened?
Yes.
And then the cut to the Gorn for the first time you see the Gorn and it just turns to camera. That big mask. And again, it's such a weird cut. It's such a weird image, but it works. It does work. Yeah. Like afterwards, I scoffed, and then I was like, no, that it's effective. I am effective.
I agree because last night I rewatched it before this, and it's funny because what you just said really stood out to me. It used to bother me that Uhura screamed, but then when I watched it, and it's like he just suddenly is gone. Her scream actually matched it. It made sense suddenly. It's like because it's so sudden, and then when the Gorn turns around and is looking at Kirk, and the reverse shot on him, his reaction, staring at this Gorn. I don't know. There's just something very realistic about it. Like I'm on an asteroid, and that is a gigantic reptile. Oh shit!
And he's got like. He has enough context to like put it all together, right? Like Spock had mentioned there's something cold-blooded going on. Like we've got life readings, but they're not human. Yep. Can't really explain more than that. And it's funny because when the crew first sees the Gorn on, I guess, the Metron channel, Uhura doesn't scream. She just does like he's so ugly. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah.
What am I looking at?
It's really effective. And I think it's a good point, Cam, too, because you'd be like, this would terrify you. Like, you would momentarily question your own sanity if someone directly in front of you disappeared. Like, it would happen. And, speaking of people disappearing, poor O'Hurley, man, he got turned into a red mat and wiped off the screen.
Was asking for it. Like, I'm going to crawl, going to do the crawl right up here. And then, I think I see something. I'll just stand up now that I see something.
I see them. God, I love that.
And so what happened to him? Because that wasn't the mortar.
No
one else gets vaporized.
Right. And it's like, they don't explicitly tell you, this was a Gorn weapon or the Metrons were already interfering. Like, he's just gone. Yeah, and that's not good.
I think we have to just say that it was like a Gorn disruptor that took him out. But the person that I always feel bad about is Lang. It's like, Lang? He's like, they got Lang. They got Lang, sir.
They got him.
It happened off screen. Don't worry about it.
Yep. They got Lang.
Was O'Hurley, this is episode 19, right? Which is, we should say, the exact episode after the Squire of Gothos, which was their last TOS episode.
Oh, yeah.
We're actually going chronologically right now. Was he our first red shirt?
Oh, there's no way.
No way. No way.
I don't know. No.
I couldn't.
Because I know there's not actually as many red shirts as we've been led to believe.
Yeah.
I'd have to look that up. That's a good piece of trivia. Maybe I'll write that down.
Yeah.
And then I was also wondering, is this the first instance of them telling us that they cannot transport through shields or screens?
I'm so glad they changed it from screens to shields.
Oh, gosh.
I was so confused a couple times.
I also couldn't stand the fact that it's like fire all photon torpedo banks, and it's like they fire twice.
Yeah. We're spent, Captain.
Yes. All banks fired, sir. It was 2 banks. 2 banks. Yeah. Come on.
They don't have the consistency of like, does pressing a button on the bridge make a noise? Like some of them make a noise, and others you can hear George Takei's finger hitting the button.
Yeah.
Just dunk, dunk, dunk.
And how hard did he hit that console? I mean, he's like, okay, ready. Boop, 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 boop.
The mic was like right under that.
Yes.
Was that when he was flying space normal speed?
Oh, yeah. Space normal. I know that they used twice now in the episode. I think they only used it twice in TOS.
Okay.
One was here and one was in Galileo 7.
And such a 60s thing, right?
Yes.
But I was generally curious if this was the origin of the can't transport through shields, because that is obviously such a big, like one of the few steadfast rules of Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. I mean, because
know.
I mean, it is early.
Episode 19, it could be. Yeah,
Yeah, it's early in the
and
series.
They just over-explain it in the scene too, which I mean, I'm sure they weren't assuming everyone was watching every episode.
I know, but the fact that they have to, that Kirk has to explain it to Spock, who would know?
Yeah.
There's a couple things where I'm like, this is for the benefit of the audience, which is fine. Like, it's fine. It's a TV show, you know.
Yeah.
But did you guys notice the dude sitting next to Sulu looks a lot like Jeffrey Hunter?
Yeah,
like,
of course. That's the guy who played, the guy in the chair.
Oh, is it?
He was the guy.
Oh.
He's the guy who was actually in the chair in Menagerie. That's him. Yep.
I've seen that guy banner at STLV, and I can't remember his name. I feel bad, but I remember seeing the original Captain Pike there, and I was like, "What? No, you're not the original Captain Pike."
And he's been in several. Is he LaSalle? Was that his character? I can't remember now. He might be LaSalle.
He might be. I know in this
feel
episode
but...
he's not named, but like,
no,
he gets. They call him a
they
name.
did.
At
I thought
some
it was.
point.
That's why I wondered if it was LaSalle, but I'm not sure.
I think they might call him LaSalle.
Yeah.
well, it could be. I watched this episode 25 minutes ago, guys. Right as I was about to try and get my child to go to bed. So apologies if my notes are not exhaustive. But going back to like the convincing nature of the set, even the explosions are good. Like, this is some good work.
Mm-hmm. Really
especially
good.
in a budget show.
Well, I also wonder, like, how many takes was it for Nimoy to throw his tricorder right to the spot where the explosion happens?
Oh,
yeah.
I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's perfect. And I believe Shatner actually has permanent hearing loss from shooting these scenes. Like being right next to that mortar and running through all the actual explosions. Like, you talk about suffering for your art. It's a real thing.
These are not stunt doubles. Yeah, no, this whole opening is pretty action-packed.
Yeah.
I mean, the Shatner run is very distinct from the Tom Cruise run, but equally iconic.
Yes.
I love what he's doing. I love the weird little, like, wobble when he's phased. Like, looks like he's doing ballet. I don't know if that's some professional training coming in, but I dig it, whatever it is.
Yeah. I thought about that. Yeah. Watching the episode, watching him physically have to do that kind of stuff. I'm like, and how old was he when he was doing this? Because, like, that's not good on the knees, when he was trying to get up.
Yeah.
But like later on, after he's been injured by that incredibly heavy rock, it's a little inconsistent which foot he's favoring as he runs around, which again, I'm not faulting it. Like, the dude has a lot to do, and he's got to carry this episode, right? Because you start off with like this big situation, the whole crew is there, and then the rest of the episode is pretty much just him. Because the other guy in the episode doesn't speak English for 90% of it. Yeah. And the crew is kind of just hanging out and watching TV. So it's like, if Shatner is not good, this episode doesn't work. So this is another, penny in the Shatner is actually pretty good at acting jar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. DePaul is the...
DePaul, that's right. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
DePaul.
Sorry, I was scanning the script. The thing that always kind of strikes me about Arena is you think Arena and immediately you think of the shot Alan was talking about, Kirk versus the Gorn. You think of Vasquez Rocks. You think all that. That doesn't happen till the midpoint. Right. Pretty much right at the midpoint is when they appear together. I always forget like how much of this episode is the original colony and like dodging mortars and then the chase. Like, it really is like a 3-part episode in the way that like only TOS can make it feel bigger than it is. I was like, only 20 minutes have gone by and we've already been through like a whole massacre at a colony and a chase, and now we're meeting another weird alien species. What is happening? It's a really well structured.
It's so script. Good. That guy, and the guy sets it up. The survivor, when he's like, they poured it on like phasers, only worse. Women and children. Why? Why did they do it? Why? It's like you're just in. And then the fact that Kirk, he made up his mind. It's like invasion. And Spock trying to talk him out of it is very interesting. It's like, well, Captain, it might be no invasion. And it's like, okay. And you see Spock have to acquiesce to Kirk's decision that it's an invasion. It's fascinating.
Right. My captain says it's an invasion. This is what we have to do if that's true. Yeah. I love that moment because you see the setup of, and I think one of the reasons Arena is so iconic is it's one of those rare Star Trek episodes where one of the main characters has a very clear arc in the story. It's something that And I'm not sure how common it was in TOS. I know that it took seasons of TNG before they allowed the main characters to have their own arcs, to be able to change and be flawed in an episode. Yeah. So like seeing it here, I was like, oh wow, yeah, they're really setting up. We see him make assumptions about his enemy, desire revenge based on those assumptions, and by the end he learns his assumptions were wrong and he should choose mercy. Good script writing. Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah. And I love that moment on the bridge when Spock says, just the consideration for sentient life. There's no time for that. And the whole crew just goes silent. I love that.
Yeah, it's, part of Kirk's Captain Ahab side that we have seen in him before and will see in him again. Speaking of things we will see again, how about some calls, gentlemen? It's open Pike night. We've got callers. Let's hear first from Gudis. Hey,
Gudis here. I really wanted to send something in for this, but I had a bit of trouble working out what to say, to be honest. This one's always been a really special episode for me, and I was trying to work out why that actually was. And I think a lot of it has to do with just, I just always grew up loving all the old, 60s, 70s Doctor Who and other series like that, where it's, I don't know, there's something about, the worse that the effects are and, the lighter the sets look, the more I love these things. It's just something about it. As a kid, I always thought it was just so good. The more ridiculous, the better. And I think the first time I watched through the original series, this one kind of stuck out to me for that reason, because it's all that kind of classic style that I love. So yeah, so it was pretty special getting a second, kind of a second additional little episode that was such a homage to it too. And it was really interesting listening to the interview you guys did afterwards too, and finding out all the stuff that was deliberately in there that I hadn't really thought about. It makes it extra special when people working on it are really into it too.
Wow, I actually hadn't heard that call before now, and Gudis nailed it. And I agree, Alan. Thanks for talking to us about Terrarium, because I was over the moon. I continue to be over the moon about that episode. And Gudis, you bring up a really good point here. The quality, let's call it, of sets and costumes and effects and things like that from older television, I think really reminds you that this art form is an extension of a stage play, right? That's why they call it a teleplay. It's on a sound stage, and it demands buy-in, because if you're not bought in to these things, it doesn't work for you, right? It's just cheese and it's fluff, but it's I know we have said it 1,000 times and we'll keep saying it. The performances really help you with your buy-in on these things, because you can see that there's no hole in this creature's mouth. Its teeth are inches from Kirk's neck and it does not bite him.
Right.
You can hear a guy in a soundstage making the S sound and going, yeah. But it doesn't ruin anything. And I think it is, the Trekkie level of buy-in might be higher than an average television watcher. I'll give it that. But if you have that, you can really pull off some great stuff.
Well, I would say the acting, also the writing. I just love so much of 60s writing, TOS writing, Star Trek in general writing. But here especially, there's just so many passages that felt almost poetic when they're describing things. One I want to highlight is, they're talking about the area they're in. And Spock says, the rumors of strange signals, space legends are out here, which reminded me of, to Gudis's point, when Alan told us he specifically was referencing that with the line in Terrarium. And I remember not bumping. I remember enjoying that line in Terrarium specifically before I even knew it was an homage. And then hearing this when I rewatched Arena recently, I was like, oh yeah, it's good for you, Alan, because it's a moment that steps out in this episode that really kind of, it adds that mystique to the rest of everything. When we're looking at a guy in a rubber suit, we have those lines in our head being it's not just a guy in a rubber suit. It's mysterious. It's space legends. Go with it.
Exactly.
Okay, go with it.
And I'll tell you another, a little Easter egg that I took from this episode. This is how much I loved it. In the very first episode I wrote for Star Trek Discovery, season 2, episode 4, it starts with the Discovery being knocked out of warp, and the scene in Arena that I always loved was when the Enterprise gets pulled out of warp at warp 8. And so I have the exact same scene at the beginning of the episode where Discovery's pulled out of warp, and I have Detmer say, we're going sublight, Captain. Because I always loved that. I always loved that when Sulu goes, warp 5, 4, 3, sublight, Captain. It's like, and then it's like, to a dead stop from warp 8. Have you lost your mind? I love that. I just loved when that ship got pulled out when the Enterprise got stopped by the Metrons. I just love that. Mm-hmm. And the sound design too, of like, as they're being like stopped from warp 8. I love it.
The sound design and like the Star Trek lean, like everybody acting like they're in a car that has slammed on the brakes, right? Like, and now of course we're like, those people should all be pink mist, but it's like, that specifically is what inertial dampeners are for. That's it keeps you from getting painted onto the wall when things like that happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another detail too, I was watching it with subtitles this time, and like you hear on the intercom, like all the different floors checking in, and it's all techno babble. I don't know what floors those are, but it's just a fun little detail they put in.
And the detail of somebody who's not McCoy checking in for medical because he's on the bridge and like he just arrived on the bridge. It's like, is that necessary? No, but it absolutely colors that whole thing, and it adds to that realism, especially in an episode where you're going to need all the realism that you can get, right?
Yes.
Like, it makes sense that they would do that. Does ACAB include Starfleet if Kirk identifies himself as a policeman? I always struggle with that.
When he's on a vengeance quest like this.
I mean, it's a little Team America, right? Like, we're out here, we got to do this. But to your point, Cam, I think it works because of the arc that we get, right? Like, he realizes, and there are so many original series episodes about trusting and leaning into the better angels of our nature, but not denying that we have this other side and that everybody is made up of both things. Like, you have your base instincts, and then you have what your mind tells you is the right thing to do. And it's beautifully illustrated throughout this episode.
Yeah, I think another episode that illustrates that is Errand of Mercy. I mean, it has that same kind of thing where it's like, they want to, Kirk wants to fight a war, and he's like, well, nobody wants to fight a war, but that's what he wanted to do. And it's like, here also, he was leaning into the idea of like chasing this Gorn ship down and destroying it, so he has that killer instinct.
And I love that that's consistent with what we see in Strange New Worlds, right? Like, and you'll see it again in the TOS, right? Like, you see it again in Balance of Terror, where he's like, I'm going to chase this guy because I have to. And you see it in Equality of Mercy, where he's like, well, I really think you should chase this guy. And of course, alternate telling. But it really strikes me every time I watch TOS, like how well Strange New Worlds really has nailed all of these characters. They did their homework.
We tried. We definitely tried. I mean, I ask anybody in the writer's room, because I was always referencing TOS.
Well, here's a question then. And I mean, speaking of Kirk's kind of drive here in the scene, I was wondering, like, why is he so adamant on punishing these guys? Like, how good was Travis's personal chef that he just wants to avenge those who stole him from his taste buds? But was there ever, when thinking of doing a prequel to Arena, was Travers and maybe his personal chef ever on the storyboard? Was it, well, let's have Pike meet this young chef and give him some tips?
That would have been a great idea. Exactly. That would have been a fantastic idea. I know. I love when McCoy goes, I for one just don't, I would love a non-reconstituted meal. I love that. You, sir, are a sensualist.
You're a sensualist.
Bet your pointed ears
right.
I am.
That's it.
And they're like totally making fun of their superior officer and then being like, but dude, we could eat really well. Like, he's not great, but we could eat really well if we do this.
Other callbacks I enjoyed watching it. I was very reminded of the opening to Memento Mori when they come across the the massacre.
Yep.
And even there, we get a different type of kind of booby trap the Gorn have set up. So that has been carried through or back to Strange New Worlds. I like that. I mean, I did forget that Gorn apparently have like voice synthesizers to mask them to sound like human. They got like a Kevin Home Alone sort of voice thing on the ship. What are they doing over there? Interesting. I forgot about like the tricorder. Was there any kind of like detonating their own devices in Strange New Worlds? I was trying to think back if they ever.
I don't think we ever did that. That's a great idea. Yeah, we should have.
There was that scene where the Gorn opened that mechanism on his arm and went, ha, 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 and then started counting down, remember? That was one of my favorite parts, yeah. And then Ortegas was like, you are one ugly mother. I remember.
Oh, yes,
Good
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah. But one other point here on Gudis's mention of the effects. I watched the remastered version of this, and they didn't change much for this episode. But the Gorn, they definitely added some blinking to the Gorn in like the first 1 or 2 scenes, and then completely stopped doing that.
Yeah, I know.
Is this worth it, sir?
Yeah, like somebody did it once or twice to be like, see, I told you we could do
on
it.
A pig at this
point. Well, and it doesn't need it. Like it's Alien if it doesn't blink. Like that's creepy.
I am a purist. I really, I mean, anyone who loves the remaster, great, but I'm a purist. I mean, I don't like the fact that on the view screen you can see the Gorn ship in the distance. I mean, there's no reason for it, you know?
Right.
So it's like little things like that just bug me.
I need to get the Blu-ray because I know the Blu-ray, like you can switch back and forth between original and remaster. And at this point, I've seen more remaster than I have original. So I really want to get that set in particular.
Yeah.
You know what else I really want to get? Is a voice of another caller on the air here. Let's hear it from Trev.
Hey, it's Trev beaming in from the Fair Letter Franchise podcast to offer my report on Arena, which I guess has never really been a top 5 or even top 10 episode of TOS for me, but that speaks more to the abundance of great episodes than it is a critique of quality, because Arena is an excellent hour of sci-fi, and one of the key early texts in regards to what makes Kirk such a terrific captain and character. It's also a perfect example of what makes TOS so special. It has both the important messaging of understanding and empathy, but also tons of practical effects and action that are admittedly kind of corny, but that just adds to the charm. I will say, though, and maybe this is going to be a controversial statement on this podcast, but on this rewatch, for the first time, I found myself actually kind of agreeing with the sentiment of some that I wish Strange New Worlds had simply made up their own new alien race instead of using the Gorn. Even though I enjoyed their Gorn episodes, including the bulk of Terrarium, I think the silly leaps they had to take with the Metrons at the end of that episode to make continuity work just felt half-baked. And I'd argue the strength of character Ortega shows in her test is actually far more impressive than Kirk, given her past history. But Kirk's big advantage was he didn't have a trauma-inflicted, trigger-happy crewmate beam down and ruin everything. So by suggesting that Kirk's adventure is enough a few years later to have the Metrons reconsider humanity, it either makes the Metrons look like morons, or it again subtly suggests that the TOS crew's adventures are just more important than the SNW crew. I don't know. Finally, let's give a shout out to Bill Blackburn, Bobby Clark, and Gary Combs, who had to wear that Gorn costume out in the heat of the Vasquez Rocks. I don't envy them or the costuming team who had to touch and smell those costumes when they were taken off. All right, see y'all later.
So, I gotta say, I think Ben Stiller owns the original Gorn costume headpiece.
Oh, wow.
I believe. I want to say he was on the Graham Norton show with Tom Hanks, and he goes, I have the Gorn mask, the Gorn, and Tom Hanks totally just like burns him. He's like, oh, sure, everybody knows the Gorn. And he's making fun of him, but it's like, hey, Tom, everybody does know the Gorn. Relax, man. But that's...
Tom Hanks is supposed to be a Trekkie, too.
Well, I guess not a big Trekkie. But I do wonder about this parallel, because I wrote it down, too, at the start of this, like, I think Strange New Worlds, to give the other side of this argument, Trev, actually really nailed their depiction of the Gorn, because it's a longer arc, right? Because it's, it's told over multiple seasons instead of one episode, but it's the same essence, right? Like you have these aliens and they're acting like monsters, quote unquote. You have characters label them monsters, and you have evidence of that. Like the Commodore, when he's laying there dying, he's like, they killed women and children. We were defenseless. There was no warning. We literally tried to surrender and it didn't work. That's a bad group of folks to run into, right? Now we find out that it's a territorial encroachment thing, but I think even as, being, 60 years removed from this episode, I think we've slightly evolved maybe as humans enough to say, well, okay, maybe a slight territorial encroachment is not justification for just wiping whole groups of people out, right?
Exactly.
So, like, I feel like Strange New Worlds kind of hit the nail on the head with their depiction of the Gorn, especially Alan, you coming in and saying, like, okay, we're going to have a character directly encounter their trauma in this form. And I do agree, Trev. I think Ortegas is better than Kirk in a lot of ways, and especially in this way, because, like, she gets there right away. She's like, if I'm going to survive, I need to cooperate with this person, right? And Kirk doesn't really attempt too much communication before he's like, no, right, I was told weapons, better go build a weapon, gotta find a weapon. So I really like it. Alan, I do have to ask, though, did you have any feelings when you're closing up Terrarium where you're like, how do I make this fit with what we've seen in TOS? Or, like, how do I keep the fandom off my ass about this? Like, sort of a thing. Like, how did that process go for you?
Yeah, that was something where, we talked about, what are we going to, because it always bothered me. I'll be honest, before I got on the show, that they were using the Gorn. Because for me, it was like, wait, the Gorn don't show up until Arena. They literally don't know who they are. But
that's kind of what's good about them, is they are this mystery.
Yeah.
They're an unknown.
So we inherited that. And then finally we were, like, talking about how do we sort of retcon this? How do we take the memory away? And we realized we'll need to use the Metrons in some way. And so, that was kind of like, you got to figure it out. So that's how the Metrons ended up at the end of the episode. But,
Yeah, to Trev's point, I've been on the record of saying this, and it sounds like a lot of the writers are kind of in the same boat where I'm like, I don't know if I would have used the Gorn if I was show running season 1. Like, I mean, they're a mystery, leave them a mystery. But we all know Akiva loves the Gorn and wanted to play with that sandbox. And, if you get a chance to do your dream, who's going to tell you no? So for having chased that dream, I think they've chased it very well. To your point, Jesse, I do think they've used them really well. Again, rewatching this, I was like, oh yeah, they set traps. Oh, they do this. Yeah, Strange New Worlds followed really well in those Gorn size footprints. And then furthermore, like, watching this again, I was like, oh, so it is interesting. Terrarium, much like the Kelvinverse 2009 Star Trek movie, is both a prequel, a sequel, and a remake of Arena in many ways.
Yep.
And I do kind of love the remake lens of it, because it's the Metrons testing these two people, but in very different ways. Yep. To Trev's point, like, it's Kirk and the Gorn captain is a physical, they're out to kill each other, and one of them needs to decide not to kill the other one. That's the big moment. Yeah, the other one is much more character driven, much more character centric. It deals with Ortegas' backstory and history with the Gorn, and so it's the same story, but with just such a different point of view that makes it so interesting and meaty and worth watching.
I know. I mean, can you look beyond your preconceived notions? Can you look beyond thinking, this is just an enemy? No, this is not an enemy. This is an individual. Can you see the individual beyond your own bias? And I think that was what's so important, to see Ortegas make that choice in that journey.
But it's not just a retelling. It's not just the same story. It's like, let's take that kernel and do something and twist it a bit.
Yeah, I love it. And, I'm not here to say every decision made and everything that has to do with Strange New Worlds is correct. But, like, if you're going to pick an alien to redo,
sure,
like, calling your shot with the Gorn is ballsy, man. Like, most people remember that
I get it.
As the cheesy alien. And it's like, no, we're going to make them matter. We're going to make it scary. Like, I can see where you would want to take that challenge on. And yeah, I agree. I think you guys have met that challenge. And the Metrons, I like them because they're just as, if not more mysterious than the Gorn. And they're, I mean, in 19 episodes of the first season of the original series, this is already probably the third or fourth godlike alien that we have, right?
Yeah.
But I like them because they're almost godlike without an ego. Like, they're just there to, like, learn things, right?
Yep.
Like, I think
I disagree.
I think the offer of, do you want me to destroy the
So
Gorn
much
captain
ego.
is, like, that's them going like, okay, but are you really past that instinct, or you just don't want to do it yourself? Like, would you prefer this happen at a distance so that your hands aren't bloody? That kind of a thing. And Cameron, I can tell you they don't have ego, because if they did, then when they called the Enterprise and Spock said, I'm calling the Metrons, they would have come on and said, we're the Metrons. Please stop saying Metrons.
They have cousins in Canada. They get it. But you mentioned Metron TV earlier, and I was wondering, like, who are the Metron cinematographers? Like, they're so advanced, but yet they're still obviously so obsessed with snap zooms.
Yes.
Yep.
Really? Did this advance and you're still using snap zooms, Metrons? Okay. All right.
Maybe nothing. Maybe nothing. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Push it up. That always killed me. And one of my favorite close-ups in that whole episode is just like, cut to Spock. Cole.
Yes. Yes.
There's one Metron in the studio smoking a cigarette. He's like, all right, wait for it. Smash zoom. Yeah, but then they use the anonymity filter on their own video calls. They're like, oh, we're pretty lights. Don't worry about us.
Right.
Like, you don't need to see what we look like. Which, another interesting thing, like they're going to interfere in these other two species' course of history, but they're also going to say like, oh, we're not even going to show you what we look like, because A, it doesn't matter, and B, like there does seem to be like a caution from them, right? Like these are dangerous people, and the Metrons tell them they're dangerous.
Yeah.
So you could see where they would be like, well, we don't want you to know what we look like, because then you're going to come after us too. Like you're clearly just chasing this guy. What if you came here? Not that we couldn't stop you. But...
Well, there's also something that sort of gets overlooked. There's a line from the Metron talking to Kirk where the Metron says, I think it's something like, because you showed the advanced emotion of mercy, you will not be destroyed. And like, wait a minute, wasn't the rule like if I win that we get to leave? And it's like, you were planning to destroy us both. That's honestly, that was what the Metrons had in store.
I was wondering, they were like, yeah, maybe in 1,000 years we'll be good to meet. Did you ever pitch the Discovery team after they jumped 1,000 years in the future that, hey, maybe the Metrons are around right now?
Probably at some point, but there was a strange allergy to godlike aliens in the Discovery writers' room, which I could never understand. I kept like the Organians and the Metrons. I kept trying to like bring that in. It's like, nope, no godlike aliens. I'm like, great.
That is true. Yeah, Discovery never really had that.
No, I wanted to see like a war between godlike aliens. I wanted that to be something that we got involved in.
Well, Alan, we've seen that. It looks exactly like the American Civil War, and it's guys, with muskets and finger guns. Like, oh, sorry, Cam, you haven't gotten there in Voyager yet.
Oh, okay, I was like, what?
Disregard everything I just said. But, I don't want you to disregard everything that our next caller has to say. Let's hear from Melanie.
Hi guys, here's Melanie. So, when I think about Terrarium, what first comes to my mind is how awesome it is when Pike sits at the helm of his ship. Finally, we see him showing off his flying skills. And when you compare Arena and Terrarium, it is fascinating to see how both deal with encountering something unknown, but in really different ways. In Arena, it's very direct. You have Kirk fighting the Gorn, and I remember really rooting for him the whole time back in my childhood, especially with that two-hand blow. It's very physical and instinctive, like survival comes first, but then it shifts and Kirk realizes the Gorn isn't just a monster and he chooses not to kill it. In Terrarium, it feels much more personal. A lot of that comes through Erika because she's already been attacked by the Gorn earlier in the season, so her fear is very real. That makes everything more emotional because her reaction is based on trauma. I liked what Melissa did here with her character, and finally an Erika episode. Yeah, she deserved it, and what an episode. And though Pike only has a few scenes, I loved them all. I loved him at the helm, and I really loved the moment where he tells Uhura he knows she fudged the numbers, and that he would have gone after Ortegas anyway. And then there's Lan in the end shooting the Gorn. Wow, what a bummer episode. Live long and prosper, Melanie.
I remember telling everybody at the end of Terrarium, I am in a fight with La'an. I do not approve. Like, she's the security officer. She should have, like, the most training around when to fire and when not to fire. But she just has the instinct, which is kind of the point of the episode. And it's like, it's a really great ending, even though it hurts, right? Like sometimes the best endings are not happy.
Yep.
And I love the way that you guys crafted that. Now, Melanie, you did bring up the Gorn fight here in Arena. I mean, this might be the one place where you're like, do I have enough buy-in for this? Because Kirk is like, I have hit him with things that would have killed a human.
Yes.
And he's still coming after him. It's like, no, you didn't. You kicked him in the chest. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, he hit him with a rock. He hit him with like a 60-pound boulder. That would have killed him.
And what aim?
Yeah, what aim?
Kirk, how did you... Did you, like, I just want to see him like test the wind with his finger first. And
how about the Gorn's aim throwing that boulder? He threw it where he knew Kirk was going. I thought that was
right.
amazing. That's impressive.
But speaking of that scene, like surprised Gorn look when he sees the rock coming at him, maybe my favorite Gorn look. It is incredible. That's what I want my screensaver to be.
It's a direct parallel to the Kirk face that he makes when he gets, I think it's when he gets possessed in an episode.
Oh, yeah.
He becomes another character or something like that.
But to your point, Jesse, like I was watching this and I was like, I mean, it's a rubber suit. I get it, but it's a cool rubber suit. It's a cool design, honestly.
Come on.
It's not bad. Every time I watch it, I'm like, it's not as bad as I remember. It kind of works.
Let's be honest. Don't we all want the Gorn's calisthenic workout video?
Yeah.
I mean,
dude,
those calves.
The guy has, I was going to say his calves. Like, you want to talk about leg day? It originated on the Gorn homeworld. Like, that's all there is to that.
I was going to say, there's a great side shot of the Gorn after he threw the boulder at Kirk. We're standing there with like, you just see like the arms and the whole torso is just like totally pumped. Like, yeah.
And I'm fine with the lumbering. He's a big guy. He's slow. Slow can still be scary. Jason is scary. Yeah. He's slow. The slow motion swings at Kirk. That's where my suspension of disbelief starts to fall apart. That's when he's pinned under a rock and the Gorn just has to stab him. Yeah. But instead he moves the rock and then lets Kirk run away on what would clearly be a broken leg.
Yes.
Those are like the moments where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to...
Just let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah,
that's
let it go.
The reality hitting you of, that poor actor in that 1,000-degree suit cannot see anything.
Like, it does not want to harm the star of this TV show.
Shatner's insurance policy will devastate your finances for the rest of your life.
What's also funny is, it's got that translating device, and it's translating, but in truth, if you were actually to hear the Gorn in its own language, he's probably saying, oh my God, would you just please stop running? I'm exhausted. Let's just put an end to this. Just stop.
Well, I mean, that is what he says in English later.
But like the translator adds eloquence, like, I grow weary of the chase.
I grow weary of the chase. Wait for me. I'll be merciful and quick.
But also, if the Gorn is cold-blooded, then shouldn't he be like very energized on a warm planet and like his metabolism should be cooking right now? Like, shouldn't he be way faster than Kirk? I don't know how reptiles work, maybe, but I do have to say, like, that shot when Kirk realizes there's a boulder on a cliff that I can drop on this Gorn, the music sting is literally Wile E. Coyote, like, having an idea. Like, wah, 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 wah. And I was totally hoping Kirk would just hold up a sign that says, "Ain't I a stinker?" or something after he dropped it. Like, it felt very Looney Tunes, but it works because I think of that Gorn reaction shot that you mentioned, Cameron.
So good.
It's like this is where it should be.
Well, Melanie mentioned the captain being in the pilot seat, so I've got, of course, have to talk about the pilot being in the captain's seat and how much I love Captain Sulu. I mean, this isn't some of the best Sulu captaining, but even here, there's like little hints of like this guy's kind of a badass. Yes. I can see where he's going to go. This kid's got a future.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely no flyer apart, but it's like you can see where somebody watched that and was like, what if we gave him his own ship and had him fly her apart? Like, it's absolutely there. You're totally right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I do like that everybody sort of avoids sitting in the actual captain's seat for a while Kirk isn't there. And then eventually Spock reluctantly is like, all right, I'm in charge. I'll sit in the seat, I
don't even know if reluctantly. He's like, he's talking to Bones and he's like, okay, the adult has to sit down here.
He does it specifically so that Bones doesn't. He's like, if this guy sits in the chair, we're screwed. Like,
there's a scene when they're talking to the Metrons and like Bones just starts talking to him and like giving him his bone shtick. And the look Spock, Leonard Nimoy, gives him is so good because it's both like, what the fuck are you doing, man? But it's also like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I literally have no options. Do your thing, Bones. Like, he gets both of those across in that one look.
I agree with you because it's kind of embarrassing in a weird way. It's like when McCoy goes, "We appeal to you in the name of civilization. Put a stop to this." Oh, is that all we had to say? Oh, the Metrons would be like, "Oh, you're right. Gosh, we should. What were we thinking? We're so sorry." No.
Oh, civilization is kind of our whole thing, guys. I think we may have screwed up.
Right.
Yeah, and I just there are so many things here that are like instant classic moments, right? I've seen a lot of folks who play video games, for example, complain on social media, why are video games so easy now? They put yellow paint all over everything so you know which way to go and what to do. And it's like, they did the same thing here. This is 1967, and they put yellow powder on the rocks when Kirk's like, if only I had a weapon.
Right.
It's like, dude, like, it's a storytelling device. Relax. It's okay if games are easy. They want people to experience the story.
Yes. And that was another Easter egg I stole from Arena, where he says, an entire fortune of, stones, but I would trade them all for a hand phaser or a good solid club. And then I have Ortega say at one point, looking at the Gorn, she goes, what I'd give for a phaser.
Yeah.
Did you also apply tinfoil to any of the rocks on the set there to make it look alien?
Well, one of the funny things is that, I don't know if you noticed in the episode, I don't know if I noticed in the episode, but when we were all walking on the sets, it's like, stop kicking the rocks, guys. We keep moving the rocks around on the set.
Continuity guys having a heart attack.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things for me that struck me for the first time while I'm watching this episode, like, I have loved the Strange New Worlds Gorn theme, the music, right? That bum 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 ba-dum, and it's like it's this like reworking of some of the dramatic TOS music, but here in this episode you really see the DNA of that theme echoed in the Gorn theme for this episode. And I gotta say, it's pretty similar to the Jaws theme. Like, you have this big, slow, lumbering beast, and it's not, it's not sprinting after you, but it is after you, and it will not stop.
Yeah.
It absolutely works, man. It's a half creature feature, half Western. Like, it's amazing that they pulled this off. I really, my appreciation for Arena, honestly, grows every time I watch it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, where's the captain, Mr. Spock? He's out there, Doctor. Out there in 1,000 cubic parsecs of space, and there's absolutely nothing we can do to help him. It's like classic lines are from Star Trek.
I think that was the line where I wrote, Spock is great at this whole episode.
Yes.
And I mean, you can write that about any TOS. Yeah. At one point I was like, well, he's just being Spock. He's always great. But like, I love those scenes back on the Enterprise where they're like trying to do something, because the whole time I was like, don't they get a hold of him? Don't they like figure out a way to get around the Metrons? And they're like, nope. There's nothing they can do. They are stuck. And like, kind of Spock's just matter of factness there is refreshing and interesting. I
like it too because, Kirk has his arc, obviously, but Spock has an arc in this too, where he starts from, okay, Uhura, rephrase or reevaluate, because what you just said is impossible. And she's like, it is true. Like, can you see the effect? That's how you know it has happened, right?
Yeah.
When you eliminate the impossible, or when you eliminate the possible. So like, he has that moment with her, and then he has the same moment but in reverse with McCoy, where McCoy's like, what do you mean impossible? What do you mean stuck? What do you mean nothing we can do? And he's like, that's the fact of the situation, Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, it's acceptance and growth in what, like a 4-minute arc that he has going on, and then Kirk has acceptance and growth and all this. It's like, to Cameron's point, man, the writing is so on point all the way through. I think all the way through 90% of TOS. You still you get your odd Spock's brain here and there, but like,
well, we also have to give credit to Frederick Brown, who wrote the original short story Arena, which was used, which I know of has been used at least twice. One was here in Star Trek, and one was in an episode of Outer Limits called Fun and Games. And I love Arena so much that I actually went back and tracked down that Frederick Brown short story It's not exactly the same, but it's kind of similar. It's a very interesting read if you ever get a chance to read it. But applause to Frederick Brown. I mean, he's got like a tome of science fiction short stories. Some are good, some not that great, but Arena. Wow.
So, Alan, you might be able to shed some light on this for me, because I know a lot of TOS episodes, and I believe even some TNG episodes, were written by like science fiction authors. Mm-hmm. Is there, I am assuming it's a structural or legal reason that doesn't really happen anymore. Like and I'm not here to say like, why is it always screenwriters? I just wonder, like, is there a reason it's never authors anymore?
Yeah.
And is that answer Picard? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. I could not help myself. I'm sorry. I like Picard. It was good.
Yeah, I think back when you used to have, 22, well, actually, back in the day when it was like 26 episode seasons, but 22, 26 episode seasons, and you got deeper into a series, they would go outside and bring in, freelance writers. And I think back in the 60s, especially, it's sort of like the birth of all this in TV, they would bring in, and maybe G. Roddenberry was thinking, hey, I want to bring in like the best sci-fi minds onto my show. But now with shorter seasons, you build that room. It's, the writers that you got, that's what you have time for. You don't have time to bring in freelancers. One of the first things I ever actually sold was an episode with a story to 21 Jump Street. And it was just me as a freelancer. They called me in. I pitched them a bunch of episode ideas, and they picked one as a story. So as the show got deeper, as you get like, season 7, they will bring outside writers in and go, let's bring in some freelance writers with some fresh ideas and see what we can do. But we're not in that world anymore. And now it's like 10 episode seasons.
Well, I imagine even the episodic series are still much more serialized than they were back then. Like you could TOS or even the cop shows of the 80s, you could bring in a writer and be like, do your own thing. It doesn't matter. Like we don't have an arc happening through this episode. You can just do your own thing.
Yeah.
And now it would be really hard. Like, well, okay, so you got to make this character get from A to B, and then this plot point, when we got to sprinkle in these Easter eggs.
Well, speaking of outside voices, let's go ahead and hear from another one of our callers. Here is our good friend and dedicated caller and listener, and very good podcaster, by the way, Abby.
Hey, Open Pike. Abby Summer from the First Flight podcast here. Okay, first of all, I love Terrarium and Arena. They are both a great pairing and so much fun to watch back-to-back. Classics for each of their seasons and standouts for sure. First of all, we can't talk about Arena without Kirk's moves with the rock, like legendary. There's Kirk Fu all over the place. And then in Arena, Melissa Navia's acting and humor, they're just amazing. And the costumes in both, I love it. I love her head wrap, especially. That is super cool. And I like the Metron's costumes in both of them. I know the Metrons were an iffy thing with Terrarium, but I thought it was fantastic. Terrarium is definitely my favorite of Season 3 of Strange New Worlds, and that's the AR wall done right. Love that we've gotten all sorts of greater depth to the Gorn. They are not just killing machines. And I really hope that we see more of that, and that I know Strange New Worlds has said they're done with them, but I'm hoping that we still find out that maybe those solar flares caused early maturation, maybe the hibernation is what changed them into the Gorns we see from TOS. There's a million ways to do it, but let's bring those multidimensional eyes back. Let's see more Gorns. These are both fantastic episodes, and I would rate them up in the probably 9 to 9.5 range if I had to do it. So can't wait to hear what you guys discuss. These are wonderful episodes. Go back to them and have a fun night. Hope this finds you well.
We should say we did not warn the call-ins that we would have the writer on for this episode. So all the praise and criticism are both completely honest.
I appreciate all of it, believe me.
Is there any chance you're going to be able to tell us if we've seen the last of the Gorn in Strange New Worlds?
Do you really want me to do that?
No,
you don't.
But Henry kept going back and forth, and people are trying to parse his words, and I'm like, I think he said they're coming back, but everyone else seems to think they're not. So I guess time will tell.
But Abby does bring up the point. There was some resistance to the Metrons in Strange New Worlds from the fandom. I didn't understand it because I love the Metrons. But I do wonder, is it that people don't want the quick fix, godlike memory reset kind of thing anymore that is more common in older television? Or is it something else, because I can't, for me, like I said, I'm happy to see them again, and I think you guys did them really well. Like, they're updated, but they're not completely different. Like, they're immediately recognizable as Metrons. And I gotta say, the moment I realized it was going to be Metrons, I like stood up in my chair. I was like, yes, you have to do this. Like, oh, it's the light on the horizon. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, what I really like the Metron because it shows this growth of their interest in Gorn and human. First as a terrarium, and then later as a landscape of combat. I mean, my hope, we didn't do this, but I really wanted that planet to look, that give you hints of like, this is exactly where they also fought. And if you look at the air wall, and if you watch the episode closely, that's in the background. That kind of peak, that is reminiscent of Vasquez Rock, is in the background. So it's meant to be the same planet.
So what is the third installment? Then it's a Gorn human dinner party. Like, okay, let's see if you can be civilized. Like,
exactly.
But one of them have double booked their date or something. Like, I don't know what the conventions would be. But if there's a third installment, I'm here for it.
Believe me, I really was trying to press, and it didn't really land. But I wanted it to seem like when Ortega says, "Well, you'll come with us. You'll show that you're you'll show my people." And I wanted the audience to think, "Oh my gosh, are we going to end up with a Gorn on the crew?" I mean, are they going to do that?
We did think that, Alan.
Good.
I wanted that.
Me too.
But you realize as she's saying it that can't work. And then when La'an shows up, you're like, oh, yeah, this is like, it's clockwork, man. It's a Swiss watch. It's the exact piece you need to make your hopes just crumble. Because, yeah, we're like, put her in a uniform, like have her on the bridge. Like, I'm ready for this. I want it so bad. Like,
she's a pilot.
And I think
she's a pilot.
Yeah. World take swings. We can do it.
I think that's good writing. Like, to make you, not just to make you go like, oh, I think I know what they're doing, but to make you feel genuine things. Like, oh, I really want to see that. And, oh, I'm realizing as this is happening that there are more years of canon ahead of this where we would have heard about this. So something's going to go down. And like, even knowing that, it still rips your heart out when La'an pulls that trigger. Like, just, again, I'm not just here to tell you good job, Alan, but good job, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of, I think probably people's pushback maybe is just like, it's pulling the curtain back a little bit. Like when the Metrons show up, you're like, oh, now I see what they're doing. It makes you think about Star Trek as a TV show as opposed to this really gripping story you've been immersed in. I don't think that's negative. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. In fact, when I saw it, I was like, okay, this was necessary for all the reasons we just talked about with the Gorn. Like, we need some reason to make the Gorn of Strange New Worlds and the Gorn of TOS make sense. So, like, yeah, what other way would you do other than the Metrons? Of course.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, I mean, for me, it worked perfectly.
And I do wonder, I mean, I don't know that we've talked to many folks who have only watched Strange New Worlds, for example, right? Like, most of the people that are going to call into a Star Trek podcast have seen a lot of Star Trek. But I would love to hear from somebody who, like, Strange New Worlds is their introduction to the Gorn. Because I think if you are just taking that arc, it works.
Oh, yeah.
And for all the reasons we said earlier, like, it is the not understanding to acceptance to moving forward arc. And it's like, that's a tale as old as time. You've got that in tons of sci-fi. You've got it in tons of stories in general. So I'd be interested to hear from folks who didn't know what Metrons were or you had never seen TOS. How did that hit you? Is it the same, or, how does it work for you? But again, I'm sure there's nobody listening to this who has not seen more than Strange New Worlds. But who has seen more than just Strange New Worlds is our final caller for the night. This is Mousepad.
Hello, this is Mousepad, calling to share my thoughts about Arena and its connections to Strange New Worlds. Arena is a pretty solid TOS episode. Of course, we always remember the goofy-looking fight with a guy in the rubber costume, but outside of that, it features the Metrons, who are non-corporeal, godlike aliens who take humanoid form. They put humans through a sort of trial. This is an idea that's been used many times throughout the history of Star Trek to show how humans are capable of evolving as a society. Something that I like about Arena is that when our heroes learn that the colony on Cestus 3 was built inside of Gorn territory, they change their perspective and accept responsibility for the Federation's transgression. The willingness to change one's opinion based on new facts is a quality that seems lacking in prominent people in the 21st century. The Strange New Worlds episode Terrarium reintroduced the Metrons for the first time since TOS and also introduced the idea that they can manipulate human memories. That adds a level of ambiguity to the Star Trek canon, which can explain why the crew of Kirk's Enterprise have no knowledge of a Gorn. So as a lifelong Star Trek fan, I appreciate the effort to clean up the continuity. To explain the disparity between the dynamic Strange New Worlds Gorn and the clumsy Arena Gorn, my headcanon is that the Arena Gorn captain is an older gentleman who just doesn't get around as well as he used to. Thanks, guys. I look forward to hearing your discussion.
I mean, that's legit. My headcanon is that as the Gorn age, when they get older, they become less agile, bigger, bulkier, and so they become captains because that's all they're good at. So it's actually kind of ironic that the captain is sent down to fight. Like, if any of the lesser Gorn had been sent down, Kirk would be dead meat.
Yeah, if that were a swarm of babies, he loses instantly.
Yeah, I think that's a hilarious that's a hilarious reversal thought on, like, as you age, you get bigger muscles.
Yeah,
right. But it does fit the Gorn lifespan we've seen in Strange New Worlds, where they go from fast and, pardon the turn of phrase, but furious, to like slower, more considered movement and, much more human-like in their application of technology and things like that. So I think that's great. And now I want to see a Gorn on a hover round going to the Grand Canyon, or a Gorn on one of those staircase elevators. Like I want the geriatric Gorn to become canon.
We've got the commercial with Shatner and the Gorn.
Oh, that's true. Which is weird because they're playing the 2009 video game, which neither Shatner is in the movie, nor are the Gorn mentioned in that universe. But like somebody directing that commercial was like, this is my one shot to do this. I'm doing it. Like, I don't care. Right. Like, and I get it, man. I would have done exactly the same thing. I totally get it.
I was thinking about how how Kirk basically compliments himself in reverse about the Gorn when he goes, while he says I'm naturally repulsed by reptiles, but I have to remember that this is a starship captain like myself, and undoubtedly dangerous and clever opponent. So that's what you're saying about yourself.
Right.
Because I am all of those things.
Yes.
That checks out.
He's even a little dashingly good looking, I might say.
He probably sleeps with many pink-skinned aliens. Well, speaking of being clever and dangerous, like maybe my one complaint of the story of Arena, and I mean, it's a trope. It's a big trope and we see it all the time, but like they set a perfect trap for the crew of the Enterprise. They got all their tacticals, the word I'm looking for, members down there. And then they just let them wander around for a while and get behind a barricade before they start mortaring. Like what happened with the mortars that like delayed that? Right. They had the perfect trap. They should all be dead. What went wrong?
You're so right. You're so right.
The other thing is like Kirk is like mad that he's down here. He's like, I should be on the ship. And it's like, you lead every landing party in this show, man. Like, which thing is it? Like,
this is not the first or last time you are stuck on an away mission.
Yep.
It's it makes sense. I think it was brilliant to like right away in TNG have Riker be like, you are not supposed to go on away missions.
Right.
Like, that's my job. Don't worry
about
Kirk
character. Like, I think it's that Kirk knew what a good Captain Sulu was and was like, he's going to show me up. I'm going to want to promote him and then I'm going to lose my hotshot pilot.
Yeah, he's like, whatever you have to do to protect my ship. And Sulu's like, you mean my ship?
My ship. Exactly. Oh my.
I will.
Warping away.
Yes.
And we make a big show, and there's great moments of Kirk realizing I need to be more evolved than this. I need to right these wrongs. I need to be better. I need to be more. And then the episode ends with him saying, "All right, let's get back to Cestus 3." I'm like, isn't that just you trespassing again?
Well, they do have people on the ground. They do got to go pick them up.
Yeah.
They got 30 medical people scouring the planet.
Do they expect it to go differently? Like, have the Gorn been notified? Like, was there a Metron bulletin? Like, oh, hey, by the way, just let them pick up their guys. It's fine. Like, because we don't see any of that.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I mean, it is that quality of the original series where, like, you literally must reset at the end of every episode.
Exactly.
Kirk's going to say something a little bit funny. We'll get a sideways glance from Spock, maybe a snarky comment from McCoy, and then the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and the episode's over.
Exactly.
So that's maybe the one part for me where the writing, it's not that it falls down. It's just like, I don't know, maybe cut one piece somewhere else and add something there. If I were going to make a suggestion, like, I want a little bit more. And you have this weird suggestion that, like, Kirk is like, don't worry about it, Mr. Spock. You know, it's not super important. Or, like, I'll tell you about it later. It's like, no, he's going to write a report and everything's going to be in that report.
Yes.
And Spock is going to read that report. Like, and I'm pretty sure Kirk has said before, like, oh, you can read about it in my report. Like, why not just have him say that here? Like,
right.
It was just a little clunky at the end, but I'm not mad at it. I was just like, this is probably a function of 60s TV.
Yeah. I'm also annoyed by the fact that the Metron said to Kirk specifically, maybe in several thousand years, your people and mine will come to an agreement. And Kirk gets back to the Enterprise and he says to Spock, well, maybe in 1,000 years we'll be able to show them. No, the Metron said several thousand years.
It's another example of Kirk being overconfident. He's like, I bet we could do it in 1,000.
Right.
It's like, man, the Metrons aren't here. Like, you don't have to show off for them. Like,
Right.
it's okay. But, you know, I think it at least is in character for Kirk, if nothing else. You're right that it was like, that's not what he said, but
Yeah.
I could cut it down to 900 personally. You know, we got Dassault over here on the computer.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know. There's so much to talk about with, I think, specifically the connections in general between TOS and Strange New Worlds. And I feel like this is one of the instances where it's easy to do. I don't have to, you know, like, okay, so didn't World War III happen at this time? Oh, they have to say, well, the Romulan time travel changed things, or wouldn't this person be present? Like, oh, okay, there he mentioned Carol Marcus. Like, I didn't really have to stretch because it's Metrons. Like, it's an easy answer. It's the kind of thing that happens all the time in Star Trek. Like, it happens with Q more than once. Like, there's all these kinds of things. So I think it was really elegant, and I think that the connections between those two things are brilliantly drawn and wonderfully painted.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on, Alan. I know it was a little bit of last minute, but we were like, well, we're talking Arena. Who should we talk Arena? Alan.
As I said, I can talk about Arena all day long. Believe me. We never even talked about the fact that why does Captain Kirk have, like, the heel on his boot on the Enterprise, but he has no heel on his shoes on the planet?
Oh, Metrons.
Yep.
I assume there was just not a script supervisor or continuity guy at all in 1960s, right? Like, they're like, get the shot. Okay, you got the shot. Move on.
There's a different guy for Vasquez Rocks as there is for the set, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They also said probably you can't run on those rocks in those boots. Probably they had to put on, like, mountain shoes or something.
Different shoes.
There's a number of times where I was like, that is William Shatner up on this rock. Is this safe?
Yeah.
Guys, is this safe? Like, I know this happened 60 years ago and he lived, but I'm feeling worried about the guy right now.
Yeah.
And as soon as he gets to the top of that rock and they yell cut, he's like, toss me up some smokes. I love the flavor of Richmond. But yeah, I mean, there were things that, you know, jump out as very 60s, but there was also some stuff where it's like, oh, okay, this is very modern feeling. Like when he's narrating his log and it shows him and Spock walking along and they're talking, but you don't hear what they're saying. You're hearing Kirk's log. And then his log abruptly ends when McCoy says, Captain, over there. Yeah. Or no, I don't think it is McCoy, but somebody says, Captain, over there. And it's like,
it is McCoy.
It's an immediate cut between the audio, right? But like the video stays the same. It's like, this feels like modern TV. You have the, you know, removed narrator who happens to also be in the scene. It's like, Star Trek, for all of its little bumps and budget-sized bruises, it's good-ass TV, man. And I do wonder if we will ever get back. I kind of doubt it, and I'm not saying I don't want beautiful, gorgeous, $30 million an episode Star Trek, because I do. But I do wonder if at some point we'll get a shot at, hey, what if we'll let you make your Star Trek show, but you're going to have a lower budget? Because that lower budget creates these creative problems that have to be solved in wonderful creative ways. And if anybody's going to be forgiving of those, it's Trekkies, man. Like,
look, we wouldn't have a transport. We would not have a transporter if it weren't for budget issues.
Yeah.
It's like one of the greatest inventions of Star Trek came from the fact that, well, we can't afford to shoot shots of shuttles taking off and landing on planets. And so the creativity creates a transporter. I mean, come on. Yeah, budget limitations force imagination, and I couldn't agree more.
I love
Some of
it.
the best episodes are bottle episodes.
Yeah.
And some of the worst but most fun to talk about episodes are bottle episodes.
I just love that, like, if you say bottle episode, nobody doesn't have a reaction, right? Like, people are either going to be like, ugh, or they're going to be like, oh, great. Like, it's one or the other. There's very little in between.
Yes.
So, in an admittedly very self-serving way, Alan, what are some of your other favorite TOS episodes, man? Because, like, we got some time to kill between now and season 4 of Strange New Worlds. Just throw some out. Like, I'm not saying you got to come on for all of them, but
Doomsday Machine.
Yes.
Tomorrow is Yesterday. I always get them mixed up because there's another episode that sounds like that, which is I like the time travel one, not the one with Sargon. So which I think is Tomorrow is Yesterday. Obviously, City on the Edge of Forever. The Changeling. It's great. I love the ending of the Changeling. It has one of the best Spock tags of the show, where Spock says, "A dazzling display of logic, Captain," and Kirk goes, "You didn't think I had it in me, did you, Spock?" Spock just goes, "No, sir." It's great. It's so great. I also love the fact that in that don't get me started, but in that episode where Kirk does the logic thing with Nomad, and I love Spock goes, a dazzling display of logic, Captain. We're in grave danger. And then they get it to the transporter, and Kirk, they're about to beam it away, and Kirk holds off for a second. He goes, execute your prime directive. And I'm like, do you really want to wait that extra second that they could blow up right there in the transporter room? I always wanted to do like a comedy video of like that shot and then intercut with like the Enterprise gets blown up.
Just cut to the wide of the Enterprise exploding. I love it. I love it. Well, just keep picking up your phone because there may be calls in the future. We promise not to annoy you, or rather, we will try not to annoy you.
Doomsday Machine. Doomsday Machine would be one. If you do that one, call me back in, because that episode is the episode of my childhood where I backed across the living room as it was happening, and my mom goes, "Oh, Alan, the star of the show never dies," and my entire the magic of TV was destroyed.
You're like, I'm gonna write shows where they always die. Damn it!
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. And we will keep that in mind. I will speak with these guys and we will put something together. I want to say on behalf of all the callers, all the listeners, everybody here, thank you so much again, Alan, for joining us. I appreciate your candor. I appreciate your willingness to jump into this as well as your own work on Terrarium. I really think that that's my favorite part of making Open Pike Night, is it really is a conversation, and having somebody like you be part of that conversation elevates it to another level. So thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you. Believe me, working on Star Trek has been just a dream come true. I couldn't be happier. It's like a pinnacle of my career. It's a dream. I do it for free.
I'm basking in the secondhand glow of your dream. Legitimately, I love hearing that from the writers and being like,
I see it, but my second screen, you've probably seen the reflection in this poster, is the Doomsday Machine.
The Doomsday Machine.
It is.
Yeah,
it's a long conical blue shape.
And honestly, I just
thought it was a blue dildo, and I wasn't going to say anything.
I have like 4,000 screenshots, and for that to come up while we're talking, I think is amazing. It's an omen.
That's funny.
Well, absolutely a treat to speak with Alan again. Cameron, I'm so happy that we're getting to do some of these original series episodes. Like, I feel like I'm the only guy here who's seen them all. I don't know if that's still true, but it does my heart well to know that you and John are jumping back into the waters of 60s television.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot, but most of them were in my single-digit years. So, the ones I've revisited, probably a dozen, maybe 15, but so less than half of them.
Oh, okay.
I've revisited in my adult years. So,
There's
yeah.
definitely still some gems in there to get after. And I
don't think I've seen Changeling. I've seen City on the Edge of Tomorrow, and I've seen the one where they go back in time and go to and sneak into the military base. But I haven't seen any of the other time travel ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, that one is Tomorrow is Yesterday. And then there's
I haven't seen a piece of the action. I want to see that one.
Piece of the action is like, what if the Royale was good?
I'm in. I am in.
A very good episode. We'll definitely have to watch that. And if you're out there listening and thinking to yourself, like, hey, here's an episode of TOS I'd love the guys to watch, or hey, I'd like to share my thoughts on an episode that they're discussing, the easiest way for you to do that is to go to openpike.com. You can record your message right there on the website. All you need is a phone, or you can send an MP3 to openpike@gmail.com and get a hold of us that way. You can also join our Discord, where there's lots of other like-minded, open-minded Star Trek fans talking about all kinds of Star Trek, not just Strange New Worlds. And speaking of other kinds of Star Trek, Cameron, what's going on over at Green Shirt these days?
So much kind of Star Trek. We've just began our Voyager coverage, so we've watched the pilot, and that's all I've seen of Voyager now. And we are still making our way through Season 3 of DS9, where you can hear Jesse join for a DS9 minute episode recently. Talking about how much he loves Vedic Burrell. Don't listen to him now. He adores that character. Perhaps his favorite, maybe more than Ortegas, I think he said in the episode. So go listen to that.
I believe I referred to him as the original Ortegas.
That's right. And then we were probably holding off on Picard until after Season 4 of Strange New Worlds. But in the meantime, plenty of other stuff to listen to.
Yeah, and I've always been a fan of Green Shirt. That was my introduction to Cameron and John, and of course the rest of the crew, but they're not on this podcast with me. But that was my introduction, and that's what made me think, you know what, I have to do something with these guys, gotta work with them. And it's been, 4 years now that we've been doing this? Like, it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited that we still have 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds left to get through. So if you're looking for like one place to get all of the inside information on Strange New Worlds, Open Pike Night is definitely your podcast. We talk to the writers, we talk to the actors, we talk to the showrunners, composers, production designers, VFX supervisors. Everybody who makes Strange New Worlds has their time to shine on Open Pike Night. Now, unfortunately, producer John is not here to say it in his patented way, so I'll take a shot at it. It's been a long night, and the Open Pike Night crew has sovereign borders to invade? Wait, he usually ties it into the episode, right? Anyway, be sure to tip your servers. Be sure to clean up after yourselves. You can go anywhere you want, but you can't stay here.
It takes 2 of us because he hisses and growls at the same time.
And he's got like some New York.
It really does. He really does.
I love it.